college sports in a little bit of a different situation, and a situation that seems like it's constantly changing now. And with that in mind, we're looking forward to checking in right now with Notre Dame head football coach Brian Kelly. Coach, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, guys. It's great to talk to what I would consider the only show and to talk about college football is the Golic times 2 show.
Oh, we like that a lot.
Exactly.
Yes.
We've got the monopoly on it right here around here, which is a nice place to be, Coach. And I guess just checking in for you right now, Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director at Notre Dame, obviously made a lot of waves earlier in this week talking about his desire to see the start time of the season move back. I'm sure you guys have talked at length about this. So what have the conversations been like from your end about the timeline for the start of the season?
Well, I think, moving it back just meant to create some space in the month of September for us. We're going to play football. And I say that with the confidence based upon how well and how determined and disciplined our players are. They want to play, and they have shown over the last month the kind of commitment, the attention to detail, the discipline to play in a very difficult situation. There's a pandemic going on, and we all know that, and you have to be safe. You have to be careful. But our guys have handled it tremendously, and I'm so proud of them, and they are so committed. They want to play this game of football, and we're going to provide them every opportunity to do so.
And I want to get into that because that is such an important part. But as far as pushing the season, it would seem to make sense because it doesn't seem like anybody is going to play a full season. Notre Dame already had Stanford and USC and Wisconsin pulled because of the Pac-12, and the Big Ten have said they're only doing conference games. So pushing it seems like the right thing to do. But, Notre Dame, as far as their testing, had very few positive tests. And a lot of that, you mentioned it, the protocols are one thing. But just like in baseball, because they're going to travel, in the NFL, they're going to travel, in college, they're going to travel, you have to have buy-in from the players. So can you go a little more into that and just what you're saying to them and how they're doing so well with taking care of themselves and really relying on each other to do the right thing?
Yeah, it's a great point, Mike. And you're in it every single day. This model, is a little bit more difficult, right? So for the last month, you could use this analogy. We've been in the bubble, right? But when school starts, we're leaving the bubble and playing a season. Well, the NBA and MLS and the NHL, they're going in a bubble to play their season. That seems to be a lot easier. So there are difficulties as we get to the season in terms of how our players manage themselves in a very difficult environment because there are many more people that are going to come to campus. There are travel situations that you have to deal with. So discipline, attention to detail, peer accountability, saying no to being in the environments that could put you in a compromising situation. All of those things require a commitment to wanting to play the season. So what we've said to our guys is, listen, winning a national championship is, as most have always said, is one on the field, but it's also going to be one off the field this year. And our guys have those traits necessary, and we've got a really good football team. So if we do the right things, we've got ourselves in a position to win a championship. And that's why they want to make sure that they can do this.
I'm wondering, Coach, we're talking to Brian Kelly, head coach at Notre Dame. The players are buying in and such, and all the other pro sports we're mentioning, they have unions to talk to leagues to deal with things. For the players, it's basically parents. How much interaction have you or the school had with parents who have had questions about the situation?
We were in contact with parents as we went through this entire process, and we didn't make it mandatory. If you didn't feel comfortable being here, you weren't going to lose your scholarship. You didn't have to sign a pledge. You didn't have to do any of those things that are being done at other schools. You had the ability to opt out, like many of the NFL and NHL teams and NBA teams have issued. So this has been definitely one where we've involved the parents in this decision.
And Coach, I'm curious. You mentioned building the plane, as you're going along and trying to fly it. In this instance, part of that has been some of the differences in schedule. You guys are progressing towards putting pads on, getting ready to do football activities. And this year in college, you guys are going to get to do it with essentially OTAs, as it's been described, kind of the NFL model of that. So I'm curious, as you've started to look towards how do we translate the things that we're trying to do social distance wise onto the field, has that changed the way you guys are looking to structure any of these OTAs, any of the practices coming up this fall?
Oh yeah, it's a whole new world. We have to have some kind of face coverings, right? We're going to be testing, obviously, but we still have to have a face covering in terms of our teaching. So, what does that look like? A cloth mask over your mouth is not going to translate very well in terms of communication. So, custom-made plastic shields over your mouth, which sometimes are not the best, but require, obviously from a ability for you to communicate with your players. There's going to be, audio on the field where you're going to have to be mic'd so your voice can resonate and get out to the group. Those are going to be important teaching elements that, we're going to have to walk through and make sure that our guys understand. So, this is a whole new world in terms of teaching as well. So we'll take some time, because we do have some extra time built in, just to walk through those teaching opportunities that are going to be a little bit different than a traditional practice opportunity that we've had in the past.
Talking to Brian Kelly, head coach at Notre Dame. And at some point, Coach, it has to get to football. People are going to have to line up against one another and hit them and tackle them. So I'm sure you have a schedule which has to be written in pencil today. But is there a thought of a date when actual football will be practiced on the practice field?
Yeah, so our first practice opportunity is August the 7th. So, we're essentially in our fourth week of training. We'll train up through the 7th, which will give us a good 6-7 weeks.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.